Welcome to Surviving Roots, the podcast where we navigate the messy, beautiful work of healing and growth. I'm your host, Cari, and this is your space to breathe, reflect, and find strength. Whether you're breaking free from old patterns, healing from loss, or rebuilding your story one small step at a time, you're in the right place. So take a deep breath, give yourself this time, and let's uncover the tools to move forward with courage. This podcast is for you. I'm so excited for today's guest, Christine Landis, a dynamic parent of two and the former CEO of a global company. After selling her business and retiring at age 36, she embraced parenthood with the same passion and strategic mindset that defined her executive career. Christine decided to make more joy the ultimate profit and treat time as a currency. At Peacock Parent, they apply the time is money principle to parenthood so that busy executive parents can proudly buy more time to enjoy the good life they've worked so hard to build. Welcome, Christine.
Hello, good to see you.
Good to see you. I'm so excited to be talking to you on this podcast. We connected through Instagram probably over a year or so ago, and finally got to meet at a conference last year, which was so fun to actually meet you in person and see all the fabulous things that you're working on. However, we never got to go to dinner, which the next conference we do, we are going to dinner because I just get so like, you don't have your kids, you're traveling, you have this hotel room by yourself. And I'm like, I just want to absorb every minute of room service. But I did miss out on the chance of having dinner with you. So we are going to do that next year when we see each other at the conference.
100%. But I was also equally jealous of your in your robe, complete relaxation shots that I would see. And I was like, oh, that looks real nice too. So you did whatever self-care you needed to do. So I respected it.
Well, you know what? This episode's going to help me a lot and a lot of people because I am so burnt out. I don't take breaks. I do not delegate a lot at all when it comes to doing my business stuff or my motherhood. So maybe I will listen to you on this episode and take in these tips and the tools and resources you've created, which we're about to jump into. And so when you see me, I think next April, I'll be like, let's do lunch and dinner every time. I'll be relaxed and on a mission because I'm a Peacock parent. So I want you to tell everyone a little about yourself and what inspired you to create Peacock Parent.
So, hi everyone. I am a Peacock parent, which is definitely a self-imposed label that I put on myself purely because I felt like there's tiger moms out there was helicopter dads, and no one really was capturing what I felt I was bringing to the table, which is this absolute obsession really with time and joy and balancing those two things in parenthood. And really applying this time is money principle to parenthood. We do it in business. That's, as you said, where I came from, is this business world, and where we're analyzing everything. We're analyzing the profit margins. We're delegating because we know we can't do it all in business. It's encouraged to build teams, and yet in parenthood, we're not. So I felt like it was something unique, this concept of running your home like a business, and again, really valuing your time like it's a currency. So I called myself a Peacock parent because it's unique, it's different, it's also a beautiful thing. And I wanted to share it with the world.
That's amazing. I love the name. And I know so many people are relating to this because we all want more time and we all want things to work out the way that they're supposed to, but we also want to have joy while doing it. So it's balancing motherhood and self-care. It's balancing motherhood and not going straight into burnout and being able to have joy and happiness and do all of those things. What personal experiences have shaped you to have this perspective in your motherhood?
So I think that the fact that I did lead a company successfully to sale, I truly did learn from that experience that the second I really invested in more support, built a complete CRM team from 8 years prior, and then empowered these people to learn how I do things, yes, build repeatable processes, and then let go. Like I had to trust that they did know best and that they were going to do the job well. And so
Yeah.
I think that um, that cycle of, again, going through that trial myself helped me in parenthood actually do the same as far as hiring the support, whether that was a nanny or a night nurse or newborn care specialist, especially in those very early years, and really trusting them. And I think that's a really critical piece that's so hard for people when they hire help. They trusting and letting go is very difficult, especially as a new mom. The other thing I'd say that definitely shapes me and my story is that my mom, she died when she was 65. That was almost 15 years ago now. And so,
Sorry.
I didn't have her for my motherhood journey. And so to me, again, I was in this place of wanting more resources. I was comfortable hiring people a little, sure, because of the money, but also because of the mindset that I had of, hey, I
Yeah.
don't know it all. And
Yeah.
I think without having that resource, that person for support, it really made me look for all these other people and services and professionals that could teach me.
That's amazing. I know so many people can relate to that. My mother hasn't been in my life for 15 years. So when I became a mom, I had no one telling me, this is what you do. This is how you do it. This is, holding my hand through any of it or guiding me. But I have major issues with letting go and trust. So Christine, for everyone listening who has issues with the trust and letting go, who needs to work on their mindset more, and I still do till this day. My friends beg me. I still have such issues with trust and letting go. What is your advice? How can we put our little pinky toe into these peacock parenting waters? What is your advice for parents that need to sort of delegate and adapt this kind of sort of parenting style to have more joy in time? What's your advice?
So, well, I'd say come to our resource bank at peacockparent.com. In all honesty, we do have a quiz that'll match you up based on your delegation style, how you value time, and give you suggestions and say, hey, here's some services that can help you. But outside of that, the actual real trust issue and the letting go is, I think it starts with knowing you're not just going to, once you delegate something, once you hire somebody, it doesn't mean you'll never do it again. I think
Yeah,
there's this kind of black and white thinking when it comes to that. And
great
it
point.
just means that you're giving yourself the choice in how you spend your time at any given moment. And I think, yes, I train someone how to unload the dishwasher. And that even might be something I assign our nanny first thing in the morning to do so that I can be spending time with the kids, getting them ready before I leave for work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but does that mean I'll never empty the dishwasher? I promise you I do.
This is a great point.
And think, and especially when you apply that to anything like, I might have our nanny drop the kids off at school or do pickup. And it doesn't mean I never do it. It just means that I have more flexibility in my schedule and in my thinking. And when there's times where I want to, because
Yeah,
I'm just feeling that, or like, hey, it's school spirit day. I want to be there to drop them off, or I want to go to
yeah.
flag raising. Then I'm going to do it. But it just makes it feel like there's a choice and therefore a joy that comes with the time you're spending and choosing to spend instead of feeling like it's completely reactionary.
That's amazing. Actually, it's not so black and white. What you just said is actually very eye-opening. Because I guess that's how I actually was thinking about it. Like, well, if I have somebody do this, then I'm never going to do that. And, coming from my space of like my parents were really never there. And we had a lot of help. So everyone was always raising me, but my parents, but they choose never to do it. So that's the thing
Mhm.
I guess I wasn't thinking of, is that I always have the choice to still participate and do those things. It's just having the choice, which can lead to more joy. That is actually an excellent point I never considered.
Thanks. Yeah. And something I should clarify, honestly, with Peacock Parent, I think yes, it all centers around time and valuing your time differently in parenthood, but it's so you can spend more quality time with
Yeah.
your family, with your partner, with yourself. And I think that's a huge principle of mine is like quality time over quantity time. Because
Yeah.
if we're sitting there multitasking, we're on our phone trying to still follow up with the school forms that need to be done or emailing doctor's offices while we're hanging out with our kids. They're not getting the best of us and we're not
Yeah.
feeling good about it.
Yeah.
So I'd rather spend 1 hour where you get all of me, like I am 100% there for you. You have all my attention. My brain is with you. My heart is with you. My whole body and energy is with you. And yes, you might not get 3 hours of me, but you're going to get one. And that's going to be more meaningful for all of us than me kind of calling it in or phoning it in or trying to do a little bit of everything all at once.
That's a really great point. Let's use your household for an example. If your household had a mission statement, because not everybody has CEO experience. So let's like get a peek into your life as a Peacock parent and an ex-CEO. What would be your mission statement for your household?
Oh, I would say to delegate and outsource in meaningful ways in order to pursue a more enjoyable life and spend more quality family time together.
Oh, that's great. Well, I love your Instagram platform because you really give everyone a peek into how you run this household like a company. I see meetings, I see the delegating, the organizing. I want more of a peek. So set us up. I feel like I've seen on your Instagram before, Sundays are your planning day. Like, walk us through like what it would be like to be like you and your husband and like you wake up and let's say start on Sunday. You have team meetings. Can you give us an idea of what this looks like?
Yes. So Sundays is a fun day to start with. So we have a weekend nanny that we've invested in because, again, we made a decision a while ago about the value of even our sleep and our time together and even our sexy time together for that matter. And so every Sunday, that's our time where we can sleep in together as parents. We're not taking turns of who gets up with the kids. It's our one day a week that we know we can be together. So on Sunday mornings, our nanny wakes the kids up. She actually takes them on an adventure and they know, and she gets to kind of choose what that's going to be, whether it's a new children's museum, a splash pad, whatever it is. So my partner and I actually get a solid sleep in till like 8 or 9 o'clock. And then we get to wake up slow and then we plan our week. And the whole point of them being out of the house is so that we can take this time. It is truly like a solid 50 minutes. We have our laptops out, we're sitting at our table, and we are talking about the week ahead together. And we're going through our availability in our schedules for work, but also really for the kids and their school schedules about, hey, pick up, drop off time, who's coordinating that. We have reoccurring calendar reminders so that we always can easily kind of move things around instead of feeling like we're constantly recreating the wheel.
Okay.
Dinners we talk through as far as what we're meal planning if necessary, where we're going to be. But just as importantly, we talk through where's our window of time that each of us gets our own quiet time.
Yeah.
So my husband might say, hey, I'm going to be walking the dog during this window of time on this day. Or, for me, I'm going to get a massage and have someone come to the house so I can get a massage in and then still be ready by the time the kids have dinner.
Yeah.
And so it's really prioritizing and listing it all together and looking at this high level overview. And it's not a time to actually do anything. We just are planning it all.
Okay.
Any takeaways of actually following through with an item, that's for later. That's a different meeting. This is just to look at your calendar and plan. And I say like plan for your joy is the way I phrase it.
I love that. Can you share, like, do you use any kind of technology or programs with your planning? Do you recommend any specific?
So I use Google Calendar and we have a household shared calendar. And that's something, again, that our nanny, she sees, obviously my husband and I share. We have a chef that actually sees it as well, so that everyone knows at any time who's where, who's what, most importantly, what the kids are doing, where everybody is, and who can be supportive. And it just provides consistency for the kids too. So that way, not that they have access to the calendar, just to be clear, but
that would be
3
interesting.
and 5 right now. But eventually they would. And
eventually,
because it provides oddly the sense of routine and the sense of control for everybody of knowing, and providing information for the kids, especially at this age of when we'll be back or where we are. If daddy's not home, it's because he's on a walk with the dog, or if mommy's doing yoga. Like, it's these different ways we can also teach them with our actions about what self-care looks like to us. And owning that we need quiet time too. But as far as technology, what you asked about, Google, I use Trello. That's another project management tool that I love, and it's free. And I use that to organize all of our to-dos. Electronic Post-it notes is a way to think of it.
Yeah.
The other app that I have heard a ton of great things about is Grow Maple. And that one, we actually have a relationship with them because there's like 2 different people on my team that use it and are obsessed with it. So
Wow.
that really helps you organize really your life is the way they describe it, but that's one to look into. And that is also a partner of ours, and people have access to get 3 months free through our membership.
Oh, that's amazing. I want to talk about access. Your website is amazing and you offer a lot of I'm on your newsletter, so I see all of the weekly tips that you share and the tools, and your website is so informative. You just mentioned a quiz, so I can go onto your website and take this quiz. And can you just tell me a little bit more about the quiz?
Yes. So the quiz is going to help you do two things. It's going to evaluate the value of your time as a family. So it's looking at your income, how many hours you work, your lifestyle. It's also going to try to help you figure out your delegation style, most
Okay.
importantly, because every family is different. There's some people that are do-it-yourselfers. There's some
Yeah.
that are savers. We have some taskers, delegators, and then there's the ultimate peacock parent.
Yeah.
So it helps you really determine those two main factors, the value of
Okay.
your time and the delegation style as a family. And then using those and your stage of parenting, whether you're an expecting parent, a new parent, or a busy parent, we're going to match you up with the different services that could support you during that stage of your life and your parenthood journey. And all of those are, it's completely free, all of the results that you see. If you want to become a member, then you'll get access to the discount pricing that we've secured and some of our preferred packages with our partners that you can only get through us. So I'm really excited about it because we're big into accessibility. As a
Yeah.
Peacock parent, yes, I have the money to hire all of these different resources. I am like the extreme version of what someone can do with their time.
Mm.
But the idea behind this movement is really so that other people ask themselves, like, what is the value of my time? What's one thing I could do differently? What's one thing that can give me the space and time, whether it be for myself, more quality time with my kids, more time with my partner? And this is the tool set that's meant to give you that. And again, it's all free to access, including all of our guides. And it's really more if you want to take advantage of a ton of the different services, then it's worthwhile to be a member.
I love this. Here we are, 2025, starting this new year. And, with my message and mission, I always talk about like having the time and the space for self-care and your healing. And healing while mothering can be very difficult, especially if you don't have a village behind you. So when I first met you, I was so interested in your mission and the things that you were doing because I really need to learn how to let go and trust others and sort of, creating a village for me to help if my mothering, because for all moms, whether it's like preventing burnout or, being a present parent, like if anything, learning to delegate if you don't have like a family village around you to help, or, you can't really depend on them and you want to bring in outside people to sort of build this team, you really do need like the time and the space to have joy, be present, to heal, to do all of these things. But it's just, making the choice. So I love that you have this quiz because it sounds so overwhelming for someone that just like, you don't know where to start. So that's amazing that you've developed such a tool. So it can sort of like just tell us, okay, these are your areas and this is like the next steps, like practical insights and tools. That's really amazing.
Thank you. And I think that you touch on such key points of one, delegating, it is a skill and it's something that we want to teach our kids to be self-reliant, to be
Yeah.
independent, to be all these things that are super important, but it's also a great skill to teach them. Empathy, that's another skill that you need to teach kids. You're not just born inherently with it.
Yeah.
So I think thinking of delegating is not a selfish act. It's also you're being a role model, and
Yeah.
you are showing them, you're trying to teach them what balance really looks like in real life.
Yeah.
And you're giving them permission to say, hey, this is a low joy task for me. And there is a better use of my time or the joy and what I'm doing with my time, this opportunity cost of our time.
Yeah.
What is it draining me of? Where am I not showing up? How am I feeling dread? If I'm doing this thing I really don't like to do, but I feel like I should do it. It's like
Yeah.
that's, when we do those things in front of our kids, that's what we're teaching them is that you got to slog through it. You got to sacrifice. You should do it all. It's like but that's not a great lesson in reality. And I'm not saying outsource at all. I'm not saying delegate every minute. That's the point. You delegate what you don't love and what doesn't bring you joy,
Yeah.
so that you can spend more time with your kids.
I'm laughing at myself right now because my husband and I had this whole conversation like probably 2 months ago. I will not let our housekeeper do my kids' school uniforms because I don't like the way she irons. And I didn't grow up ironing. In fact, I didn't grow up at all, but she has this like powerful like steam machine that looks like it's dry cleaning. And my husband it was like 2 months ago. He's like, yeah, I planned this whole beach day. And I was like, I was still upstairs. I wasn't ready. And he found me just pressing like 20 school uniforms. And he was like, what are you doing? He's like, why can't you just let her do that? Like delegate it. Like she's a professional. You are not. And I was like, but she doesn't do it this way and this way. And it was like, oh my gosh, like the perfectionism in me that I've worked so hard to dissolve sometimes creeps up so much. And I'm like, nobody can do it as good as me. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I have such a hard time letting go and delegating. And here I was on a beautiful Sunday morning in Miami with the ocean literally 3 minutes away from us upstairs in my bedroom, literally steaming and pressing and like burning my skin, like trying to get these uniforms in. I actually thought of you. I was like, I'm going to have to mention this when I talk to her because this would be a moment where Christine would be like, this is where you delegate, Cari.
Mm-hmm.
Let
But even
go.
in that moment, in all seriousness, I really do get it. And what my suggestion would be is that it takes time to train her physically, show her the way you want it done.
Yeah.
Because, in this story, honestly, it sounds like she's not doing it the way you want. So
Yeah.
even though, yes, she's a professional, there's something maybe that's just you'd rather be done this way instead of that way. And that can be in any, insert X service or
Yeah.
whatever it may be or X task. And so, but my suggestion is then it takes time to schedule that on your calendar. And when you're going to be home, when she's going to be home and at your house, and you need to, sit down for those 10 minutes,
Yeah.
show her exactly how you would like it done. I've even taken the time sometimes to take pictures of a certain process,
Yeah.
and print it out. And so it's there. If there's a different language or language barrier, I translate it, so it's in that person's language. So in all honesty, the thing I love most about this, and this is where I get a little bit, part of that business mentality is that there's repeatable processes. So like
Yeah.
if you ever did get a new housekeeper in the future and you wanted them to be able to do the ironing you want the way you want it, because yes, you're a freak, then it's like you can hand them this, manual of here's how you iron. And honestly, it sounds crazy. I get it, but it really does. It allows you to delegate it and trust and let go.
Yeah.
And those are some of those extra steps that sometimes need to happen.
Yeah, I love this. You're really just everything that you're doing, you're really just setting your family up for success in so many ways. So I really do love that. So I think everyone listening, like, I think you should go to Christine's website, take the quiz and find out like really how you can learn to empower yourselves. Honestly, I'm going to do it after I'm done. Um, how has social media influenced your parenting style? Because now, you have this great platform, you're connecting to all of these moms. How does social media influence Peacock parenting if it does?
I think the best thing it does is it keeps me accountable,
Yeah.
as far as if you're going to, talk the talk, then you got to walk the walk.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really great thing, in all honesty, is as far as if I get any guilt that starts creeping in, I'm able to kind of talk myself through like, well, what would I tell somebody else, like,
Yeah.
and so in that regard, it's been really helpful in an odd way. I think the only part I find complicated, and we've talked about this a little bit, is, we're sharing it's such a private thing that I never in a million years thought that I would be doing. But at some point, in order to share and again to build that trust with people, they need to see, what you're
Yeah.
talking about or how you're doing it or why you're on this soapbox. And so that's something I get. The only negative for me is that I do value quality time so much, but in order to capture that sometimes, like I
Yeah.
have to kind of stop myself to be like, oh, wait, really quick, I'm going to get a video of this or a picture of this. And I don't ever include my kids' faces or even my husband's face. And so it's the only moment that I find myself pausing to be like, wow, this is a little conflicting for me.
Yeah.
But again, I go through phases at the same time where I've gone like a month where I don't take a single picture. And then, and then there's times where I'm really good at it. But as far as meeting other people, I still, I'm still old school that I still really enjoy just sitting down with someone and having lunch or having a coffee. and connecting, in this way, like face to face as much as possible. But yeah, meeting you was honestly like my best highlight so far.
I loved meeting you. It was so great. You forget that you haven't met people before because you see them all the time on social media and you see parts of their lives. And then like what we did, we showed up to an event and it was like, I already knew what you'd look like. I knew how to find you in our room, but it's like we actually had never like truly connected or talked to each other. So it was great.
And I will say the best part of that for me was meeting you and being like, oh, you're exactly who you are. Like as far as like,
Yeah.
I think you felt the same or said the
And
same
vice
about me,
versa.
where
Yeah.
there's nothing that I felt was, a performance or just, a certain angle or picture or something or tons of filters that were done like on
Yeah.
social media that when I met you, I was like, oh yeah, like you're Cari. Like I just, this is everything. Like,
I know. And I think that's so important because I have met a couple people before where I didn't either recognize or the energy was not the same. So I think showing up, especially when you're talking about motherhood and parenting and your family, that I think authenticity and just being real, I think that's like the truest form of just like building a great community because trust is such an important part of that. Especially when you're, telling people and teaching people how to like delegate things that involve their kids and family. So I think you're a great person and I think you're doing a great job.
thank you. One more thought I had about you were saying the time to heal, especially with so much of what you talk about and what brought me to your world to start with is, you absolutely like journaling, the time to go to therapy, the time to go on that walk, the time to process what you just talked about in this therapy session and that what they
Yeah.
like just dumped on you. I mean, the time I went to an in-group health summit and I found I would loved it. And I found I actually got a ton from the sessions that I attended, truly from a therapeutic perspective. But the point is, I just can't agree with you more that it takes time to do all those things. And
Yeah.
especially like through your metamorphosis of becoming a mom or parent, anyone listening, it's just no matter what trauma you may have in your life, there is a lot to process, a lot of growth, a lot of change. And
Mm.
so, thinking of that investment into your own, again, like dealing with, I don't know how to say it right. Yes, the trauma, but the growth, investing in yourself
Yeah.
and that form of self-care, to delegate in order for you to be able to go to that therapy or go upstairs to have the therapy call from your room in that hour. So you don't come back downstairs and feel like, oh, I still have to do the laundry. I still have to clean up. I still have to do these things.
Yeah.
There's something really beautiful about that. And it's hard to spend money on yourself as a new parent, but it's so necessary in order to show up fully present for yourself and for your kids and your partner.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And I interrupted you. So Sundays are like your big planning meetings with you and your partner. But then what does the rest of the week look like? Does the week just flow based on that Sunday planning?
So for the most part, so the Sunday planning, everything's updated in the calendar. And then on Monday, we do a team meeting. And
Okay.
the team, I include our two nannies who we really, at this point, they're more like family assistants because we
Okay.
promoted them that way as our kids got older. We have my husband's there, I'm there. We go through very high level the calendar, but we go through a lot of the actual doing. So like my
Okay.
husband and I do the planning, and then it's really in that meeting, we delegate a lot of the tasks that need to be done through our
Okay.
Trello, make sure if there's any questions they need to ask that aren't intuitive, just to read off of like a post-it note. And the other thing we do is we all talk about the kids. We
Yeah.
meet and really share in one space about that. Hey, is there anything you've been noticing? Or, it could have been potty training we were dealing with at one point, or a sleep schedule, or it's just an
Okay.
attitude, or maybe they're going to a new school, whatever it is that they're noticing. So we can all be on the same page together. Again, that provides the consistency for the kids. That's the discipline's the same, the encouragement's the same, even the verbiage we're using is all similar. And
Okay.
we've even role played before. Like, I've had a nanny be like, oh, well, we could talk through this with them. And like, we've literally practiced that together so that
Yeah.
they are absolutely educating my husband and I. And I should probably make that clear. The team meeting is very much, yes, us leading the delegation charge, but when it comes to the talking about the kids, like we feel like we're learning from the experts. We have these two nannies that have done this before. One of them has their own kids. They have child development, degrees. they've worked in preschools, they have more experience so that they can actually inform us. They can keep,
Yeah.
provide perspective. They can save us that time from having to read through every possible blog or book, or stress
Yeah.
for that matter, and carry that mental load of worrying.
Yeah.
And instead, we can just talk it through, with our version of an expert.
This sounds very healthy. I know a lot of us listening are like, wow. So you plan something on Sunday, you meet on Monday, and pretty much your week flows like that.
It
How many of
does.
us are going to the website after this episode and taking this freaking quiz?
It does. And I will say, like, part of the membership does include, Q&A with me, as far as like there's a way to chat and ask questions. And that's kind of the benefit of not just the preferred pricing you get access to, but if you do have questions, because everyone does have their own unique, again, style, whether it's the delegation style, their own lifestyle, their own personality, their own way of doing things. And so
Yeah.
that's also meant to be really a supportive element of it, is that there's a ton of free resources, so that if you just want to try to kind of copy and paste or apply or make your own intuitive decisions about whether it works or not for you, awesome. But if you need a little more support, then that's also what the membership's for.
I love that you offer so many exciting and valuable tools. What are your future plans for Peacock Parenting? Like, how do you see yourself growing in the next couple of years?
I mean, so I, get the actual launch of our membership, and this quiz is really huge for us. And I think for me, I would I would love to eventually have retreats, and where we really do segment them into the stage of parenting, because I do think there's a lot of different topics and different emotions and healing, even for that matter, to be done in those various stages, and have experts come speak and talk, and really create this community that's more in person. So I think that,
Yeah.
to me, long term, is something I would love to do. Not stealing in Goop's thunder, but it basically, doing something like that in Goop Health,
Yeah.
but really focusing again on parenthood, and specifically like delegating and hiring help, and kind of how that world works and how it frees up time and what you do with that time. I think that's
Yeah.
another thing we all struggle with, is like, okay, so we reclaimed it, but now what?
Yeah.
If I'm not spending time with my kids, then what am I allowed to do? Uh,
Yeah, that's actually such a good point, because so many times, like if I don't have something specifically booked for that time, let's say, a massage, or let's say I need to get some work done that I couldn't get done this week. If I find myself, like, if my husband's like, oh, I'm going to take the kids to see my parents, so you have some time, I'll catch myself like doing things for the kids just without the chaos around me. And I'm like, wait a minute, this was my time. And next thing you know, they're
mhm.
pulling into the driveway, and I just did exactly what I would have done if they were here, but just like having the chaos around me. So I think that's a very good point, is sometimes when we're in this, just autopilot mode as a mother, and not used to delegating time or having that time, we don't know what to do with it.
Mhm.
And there's
It's
so
true.
much you can do with it. So that's such a good point.
Yeah, we have a free guide that is all about, reclaiming your joy and rediscovering your joy. And it actually does break down, it's totally free, but the 4 different categories of people you spend the most time with, whether that's your partner, your kids, yourself, or your, extended family and friends. And I share just like a checklist, really, of all the things I do with each of those people in a category. So that
Mhm.
way you can go through and see if, hey, do any of these things sound fun to me, or does this spark an idea? And then it really walks you through how to, again, plan for that joy
Yeah.
in your week. And so it just gets your, the wheels spinning. And it is really important. That's the key to delegation, is if you don't know what you're freeing your time up for, if you haven't identified that, then you're never going to invest in delegating. You're
Yeah.
never going to invest in hiring that service or that help or professional if you don't know what that joy is for you. And if it is just spending more time with the kids without being on your phone,
Yeah.
multitasking, if it is reclaiming more time for you, more time with your partner, more time with your friends,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. So that's a key piece of it.
I love that. And, it's also a good reminder, our kids are always watching us. So we're their mentors. And it's like showing them the importance of joy and being present and relaxing, because we always are like, we're not being lazy, like the importance of truly relaxing. They're watching everything we do. So we can't expect them to grow up and be a present human being and have joy as an adult and know what it's like to, relax if we don't actually lead by example. So that's a very good point.
Yeah, no, really, you said it. You said it. Everything you said. Yes, yes.
I love it. Everyone listening, I highly recommend going to Christine's website, taking this quiz. Where can everyone find you?
So we are on Instagram at Peacock Parent or our website, peacockparent.com. And our website has, again, so many free resources, the quiz, these delegation guides. There's time-saving templates for different things like packing lists or even a contract if you're thinking about hiring somebody. But, there's also, you can subscribe to our blog. We send out once a week, you'll hear from us. It's always going to be a really well-researched, time-saving, whether it be technique or services, that we do a lot of, again, investigative journalistic work and time and effort. It takes up way too much time. So that's why I'm talking about it. But and then we also have giveaways that we'll send you twice a month. Again, it's when you hear from us once a month. We'll remind you of any giveaways we have with our partners. That way you can dip your toe in the water and try it and feel like there's no obligation. There's no, if I don't like it, great. But you tried it without feeling like you had to break the bank.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing everything about Peacock parenting and all of your insights and wisdom. It was so nice seeing you today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining me for this week's episode of Surviving Roots. I hope it gave you something meaningful to carry with you. Let's keep this conversation going. Find me on Instagram at cari.fund, where I'll share more from the show. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs it. And remember, we are the choices that we make.